everybody, Poop Witch X here, and I am being accompanied today by Godless Fox 374. Today's podcast, I'm super excited about it. It's all about astrology and birth charts, and I think today's episode 20, Godless Fox. That's such a good number, right?
Nice. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yes, nice solid round number. Yeah, exactly. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so pooping excited.
I'm doing great, and thank you for this opportunity too. Like I told you before, I don't get a chance to talk about this very much, so I'm super excited.
Which makes me so sad because it's such a fascinating topic. How did you get into astrology and that kind of? Have you always had a passion for it?
Do you want the short version or the long version?
Give me the long version. We have all the time in the world, babe.
I started when I was, let me go before that. I was raised as a Southern Baptist in a very traditional home.
Okay.
But I hit 18, went off to college for a little while, and I started getting interested in other things. Mm-hmm. And all I did was pick up, I was intending on making fun of it. There was an Astrology for Dummies book.
Yeah.
The intent there was to have a whole lot of fun just making fun of something that I didn't really understand.
Right.
But as I started learning the system, the Astrology for Dummies actually does a great job of breaking down the entire natal astrology system.
Okay.
For the basics, didn't cover advanced stuff, but the more I learned and the more I did my own birth chart, and the more honest I became with myself, because it's not always nice to you.
Right.
It kind of set into where maybe there's something to this. And I always went back to it off and on for the next several years. And it was just 4 years ago where I decided to actually go through a program, the American Federation of Astrology.
Wow.
And, that was heavily thanks to my fiance. She was the one that that bought the course for me. And
wow,
it's fun, but like I said, don't get a chance to do it a whole lot. I live in the Bible Belt, so there's not a whole lot of places to do astrology.
Right. Well, honestly, I must say I'm really glad that even if you went into it with this sort of closed-minded aspect of it, now it seems like not only has your mind opened up to things that are maybe against what you were taught, but also on top of that, you now have really taken it as your own, and it's a huge passion of yours, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And it shows that people can change and you can grow. And I think that, do you think that going away to college was beneficial in that way for you?
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so.
Do you still live you don't have to say specifically, but do you still live where you grew up? Did you have to return back there?
Not really. I'm in the same state, but
okay.
I have moved around. I've lived in Kansas and Texas and Mississippi, but it all brought me right back to Missouri.
Okay, so you're in Missouri. I didn't know if you wanted to say specifically what state you lived in. Okay, so you're in Missouri. So you stayed in the South mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
South and Midwest.
Okay. So now I kind of understand why when you bring up how you have a hard time talking to people about this, I can understand, because in those areas it's predominantly sort of looked at or frowned upon, if you will, in those areas. And that's a generalization. Of course, there's people who are exceptions to the rule, but I'm really glad that you have discovered a passion. And I'm so glad that you said your fiance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it, that's so nice when you have a supportive fiance. Did you meet your fiance at college? In college?
No, that's a whole nother story. Long story short, I was a shift manager at Sonic, and she started working there while she was in college, and things took off really fast, and she decided to come with me whenever I moved back to Missouri.
Oh, wow. That's so cute. That's so nice. And it's so nice that you found somebody who has an open mind about those things and wants to support you in that way too, which is really important. You want your partner to respect and your interests. So you've done birth charts on yourself. Now you said they're not always kind to you. I'm so nervous in this weird way. I've never had, the only thing I know I'm a Leo, but I don't know anything else. I don't know like my moon rising. I would love to learn all of that. I have no idea.
Well, at first I'll say that yours is one of the easiest, but also one of the hardest ones that I've done, if that makes sense at all.
No, it doesn't, and it makes me nervous. Oh, no.
I will say that there were very few challenges, or what some would call negative aspects. There are very few of those. There's only two. One of them is not even worth mentioning.
Okay. Oh my God. I already feel like a huge weight. Because honestly, I think that knowing astrology is like a superpower. And I love hearing people who are like, oh, I'm a Cancer rising, so I need to do this on this day for this full moon. I wish that I could hone that skill. So learning this from you is like so exciting. So I'm so excited. Okay. Tell me whatever you want.
We'll start with what I call the big three, which is your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. And for those that aren't familiar with those three aspects, the sun sign is what you're going to identify as, like, you're going to know that, but not necessarily everybody else, not necessarily the outside world.
That's like your major one. So when people are like, what's your sign? That's the one you usually default to.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Your ascendant, and now I have stuff going on my stuff.
Okay.
Hold on.
It's okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Your animation. That's so cute.
I have Streamlabs up, and I didn't realize that I had any of my sound alerts going.
We didn't hear anything though, so that's good.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, back to it. Your rising sign is what I most often refer to as someone's work personality. It's what everyone sees first.
Okay.
Rising. And just like,
I feel like I should be writing this down.
No worries. It's at any point I'm more than willing to answer any sort of questions. Even 2 years from now, if you have a question and you decide you want to talk to your old buddy Godless, then feel free. Anyway, and for some people that doesn't necessarily make sense, but for some people their ascendant and their sun sign is the same. So they won't necessarily understand being different to people at first until they get to know you.
Huh.
But the majority of people are going to have, and they know exactly what that means, that mask that you show everyone first.
Okay.
Your moon sign is typically how you are at home.
Okay.
Which for me is completely different than whenever I'm at work. I'm a different person. Anna figured that out because we worked together. And then when we started living together, she saw that
a different side
at home. Yeah, at home, I am actually much more relaxed and much more comfortable.
Huh.
At work, I am usually a mess and
a different energy. You have a different energy.
Exactly. So your rising sign is Scorpio.
Wait. So my sun sign is a Leo.
Mm-hmm.
My rising sign is a Scorpio?
Yep.
Oh, I don't know much about Scorpio, so I don't know if that's like good or bad. It sounds like a lot. Like a Leo and a Scorpio sounds like a lot, but I could be wrong. Wrong.
What most people look at as like negative Scorpios or negative aspects of Leos and Scorpios, they're probably negative aspects that people are seeing. With yours is very pleasantly aligned. Like it's not difficult.
Okay. Okay. That's exciting.
All the good aspects of Scorpio include always having a plan. Scorpios will always have a plan, no matter what. And whether that's you all the time or whether it's just it comes to streaming.
Yeah, with things I'm very passionate about, I'll make plans.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say I leave like 90% planned, 10% spontaneous, so that like I can do fun things that I didn't plan. So I don't know if that's exactly. Like the Leo or the Scorpio side. I don't know.
Scorpios and Leos both kind of get a bad rap because a lot of times Leos are looked at as very
vain,
egotistical, vain. Yes.
Yeah. I've heard that before. Yeah.
But what people don't understand is a lot of times Leos have earned that. They have the sort of charisma and the sort of energy that makes people want to live up to their standards, whether they're high or low.
Whoa. Oh, damn.
And some people are rubbed the wrong way by that. They get a little butthurt because their egos just can't handle Leos naturally stealing some spotlight from them.
Yo, you're dropping the mic over here. Whoa, we just started. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, this is exciting. Okay, so Leo, Sun, Scorpio rising. Okay.
And Capricorn moon is your last of the big three.
I don't know anything about Capricorns at all. Like, I don't even know if I know a Capricorn. So
you probably do, but Capricorns are generally reserved.
So that must be a very small dose of me. the reserve part is probably small because I wouldn't use that word for me, but like, I guess, I don't know. So what other things are Capricorns like other than just reserve? Because maybe something else is right.
They are generally the hardest workers of the zodiac, and hard work doesn't have to be sweat. There doesn't have to be, laborious manufacturing jobs.
Could it be boob sweat?
I mean,
because I have copious boob sweat when I stream. So if that is the mark of a hard worker, I have so much boob sweat when I stream. Okay, sorry, that sounds gross if you don't know what that means. But
no worries, I'm right there with you.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I had no idea. This is so exciting, guys. Oh my God.
Capricorn moon is something we share. My Capricorn is also, or my moon is also in Capricorn.
Awesome.
So to relay things from my point of view, especially, let me ask one question before I go into that. Okay. Is this like your job? Is this your?
Yes. This is my career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. I wanted to make sure because that's going to play into your chart a lot. Capricorns generally do very, very well working from home. They'll do fine everywhere, but whenever you can control how much you work from home and what you do, then there's no real stopping a Capricorn. So they're just going to keep going. They're going to keep going.
That's how I feel. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. Yeah.
And I love confirmation, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, I'll give you tons of confirmations. Don't worry. I'm going to be like, yes, you're right. 100%. Like, I'm so into this. This is so cool.
The next layer to this, if you've ever seen your birth chart, and hindsight's telling me I probably should have had a picture of your birth chart ready.
If you want to take a picture and send it to me in a Discord message, if you want to, that's fine. Otherwise, I trust what you're saying. Completely.
My phone isn't anywhere near me.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway, with your birth chart, you'll notice that there's obviously 12 slices there of the circle. Have you seen one before?
No, but I could pull one up really quickly and show everybody because I feel like I've seen them maybe on let me see. It looks like this, right? Maybe. Let me grab a display capture really quickly. Kind of looks like this, maybe. Right here. Birth chart, or is that not?
There we go.
Okay, that looks right. Okay.
So with your birth chart, is that one yours?
No.
Okay, it looks similar.
I just clicked on. Oh, does it really? It's the first one I clicked. Actually, that's so funny. No. Okay, so that it looks like a circle with slices in it, guys.
Yep.
Okay.
So with those 12 slices, you're gonna have the various planets in different signs, and
Okay.
that adds meaning to what that planet would represent. And also with the 12 slices, there are 12 houses in the zodiac. The houses are different aspects of your life, not necessarily your personality, but different aspects of your life that it will play a larger role in.
Okay.
The difficult part of yours was that you have two huge, what's called conjunctions, where you have a conjunction of 5 different planets with your sun.
Okay. Can you explain what a conjunction is?
A conjunction is when another planet is in the same house and same sign as another planet. So
Okay. Yes.
with yours, you have, I believe, 4 different planets. I've got all the information
Yeah.
staring me in the face here. I'm pretty sure you have 4 other planets in the same house and sign as your sun sign.
As my Leo.
Yes.
Ooh.
Which all of those things make it very easy for you to. Well, that I can actually jump in with an example here.
Okay.
Let me scroll down to it and find it.
There.
Like, for example,
Okay.
your sun is conjunct with Mercury. Mercury is your communication style, also how you learn. It's pretty much it's the mind's planet.
Okay.
And from what I could tell, you most likely learn better by reading than
Yes.
by either hands-on or listening.
Yes. That's 100% true. Yeah.
There we go. And what that is with Mercury's placement, you're smart and you know you're smart, but in a conversation setting or a teacher setting, I'm willing to bet you probably are thinking of your next question rather than intently listening on what they're saying. Would that be a correct assumption?
I would say yes. Depending on the topic, yes, I would agree with that. Yes.
Okay, exactly.
Okay.
That's
Yes.
likely a very independent thinker and proud of your opinions, but you're probably very sensitive to criticisms of those opinions.
So again, it depends on what the conversation is, because I feel like, as a streamer, you can't be that thin-skinned because people will criticize you all the time. But like, yes, in on one-on-one with like people, then I can, it hurts my feelings, yeah.
And a lot of this, like, I think a little bit of the difficulty here is you'll have to separate. Generally, I know it's you streaming, don't get me wrong, but you'll have to separate who you are when you're working and who you are when you are alone.
Were you lurking in my last stream? Because that is so creepy. Godless. Okay, last stream I was talking about how I have no boundaries between me, like, and as like the streamer side of me. Like, there's no barrier between the two. And you just brought that up. That's so weird.
I wasn't lurking. These are things that
so weird
are coming up in this interpretation.
Oh no! Wait, can you just? I want to soak this in. So you're saying I need to separate the streamer side and my at home side? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I'm not like telling you to do that. It's not like personal advice. No. It's when you're thinking of when you're reflecting on any of the information that I give you.
Okay.
You'll have to make sure, because I'm a lot more outgoing on my streams than I generally am in real life. I don't know how much different you might be outside of there, but all of us put on a little bit of a mask whenever we're streaming.
I don't think. Unfortunately, I think that might be one of my problems. I don't really. I don't know. I think I might be a little bit more like like
Oh,
yellier, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's definitely not a bad thing. It's just whenever you look back and read this interpretation, because I'll send it to you afterward.
I would love
Think of how you are with talking with a regular person or with someone on stream, and maybe there's a difference, maybe there's not. Like, I'm not above being wrong in an interpretation. It's part of the challenge of this whole thing.
Okay.
But one of your other conjunctions here, and it's difficult to do conjunctions of this size because everything sort of melds together. So
because there's so many planets, you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
And I had to change my normal format that I would use.
Oh my gosh.
Just because, like, I've never dealt with, and this is a good thing. It's an learning exercise for me. But
wow. Okay.
But I had to change it up a little bit so I wasn't repeating myself over and over and over and over again.
Wow.
But a lot of this is just confirming the rest. Mercury in Leo generally provides positive, if not risky, sense of humor. Just a little shy of like Ryan Reynolds style shock and awe.
Ryan Reynolds, so shock and awe. Gotcha. God, this is so weird. Okay.
You are.
Oh man.
Let's see.
What are the chances, man?
With the following part, I took it directly from a different website because they were more clear and concise about it than I was.
Okay.
And I can kind of break this down a little bit if I need to at the end of it. It's a little bit of a paragraph, though. Okay. You are eternally curious and hunger for knowledge. You enjoy studying and learning, and do it not because you have to, but because you want to. You enjoy exchanging ideas and personal philosophies with others. Can be especially buoyant, enthusiastic, and even inspiring in your communications. While you may not pay enough attention to details, you are skilled at finding a quick solution to problems. You readily see the bigger picture and enjoy sharing your opinions and ideas. You get off on how, I didn't realize that was in there. That's kind of weird to say. You get off on how information affects people's lives, and you take great pleasure in learning that something you have shared or taught has inspired others to take action, experience something new, or make changes in their lives. Some of you might be too quick to offer advice, however. You might be lacking in thoroughness and practicality, or that you yourself don't follow. That last part
is very true. That I don't take my own advice is 100% true. Yes. Without question, without even the most like tiny question. Yes. I don't ever take my own advice. Okay. So that is true. But everything else was very true too. Very, very true. Guilty of that too. Yes. That's a hard one. Yeah. That's a hard one.
And see, this isn't even it being, that wasn't astrology being mean. That was simply
the truth.
It's a lot of people, thankfully, that's not the case with yours, and we don't have to have an uncomfortable conversation, but there have been times where an interpretation, like I have to ask permission to ask questions because sometimes it can be a bit probing. Thankfully,
like the
we're not
birth chart can be probing, you mean?
Yes,
so
very
like
much
it,
so.
it will reveal a lot of like negative things, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I've had two. If I've counted correctly, you're my 101st.
Wow, that's so cool. Wow.
And I've had, I want to say 3 that actually predicted accurately at-home abuse when they were younger.
And
like, so I've actually had to ask questions, like, you might not like the question following, so if you want me to stop now, I will.
Oh, that's awful. Wow. It can really be that, like, specific? You can see something that specific?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just very general. Like with yours, it all reverts back to, it can easily be related to you working from home and being successful at what you do, because you can control your pace, you can control everything about what you're doing.
Wow. Okay. So like in my chart, you see a lot of like my career, so to speak, like in it.
Elements that are easily relatable.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, the abuse thing was just an example. Like,
Yeah.
if any of you think that was even starting to get harsh, no, astrology can be mean to you, man.
Yeah. No, that wasn't harsh at all. And it was very true. Can these birth charts find mental illness? Does it take stuff like that into account?
Um, it can suggest it. Um, with mine, it kind of does. Like, if you don't mind me bringing mine up,
No, not at all.
mine is mine's kind of mean to me in a sense that there are three big things that have rang true through my entire life. One, I'm going to work a lot and I'm going to work very hard for very little money, which has been the case. It's just been there. And there's also, how to put this, there will always be someone feminine, not necessarily a female, but a feminine influence that is both for me and against me. And I've had that at literally every job I've ever had.
Oh,
There's
wow.
usually a female that will see just what I can do and see what I'm good at and develop it. There's another one that somehow I've offended with my presence and they will never like me, and they're going to do what they can to make sure I don't make it.
Huh. Wow, that's very specific too. That's like
It's
wow.
so weird, and that's what keeps me studying it. Like,
Yeah. And you've seen that throughout your whole life, this like duality of this feminine presence in your whole life. Wow. That's incredible. Wow. Okay. So and those were two. You have a third, you said, right?
the third one is it's a square between my sun sign and my ascendant, which a square is usually an obstacle. In this case, with those two things, um, and where both of them are located, it hits the nail right on the head. Like, the things that I'm interested in will hardly ever be accepted, and I'm going to have a hard time communicating that because of the environment I'm usually in.
Huh. Wow. And
Because
that's
of
because
it,
it creates a square?
yes.
This is like it's so incredible. Wow.
Square, not in the geometrical sense. They call it a square, but I think it's a 120-degree angle between the planets, which is weird.
That is very interesting. So those are your three things that you've seen, and they don't change, like they just sort of are always there.
And that's the thing. That's why I think doing natal charts for people can actually help. Like, if you can, if things are ringing true and you can accept it and find a way to either work around it or work through it, then, I mean, why not?
Yeah. And I feel like if you can hone this and use it to your advantage, like it's a huge asset to know, what you should do. And that's what I was talking about. Like knowing, how to work the best for you is a tool and it's an asset. And that's why I think it's like knowledge is power. It's incredible. Yeah. Do I have a square?
You do. You have one that,
I didn't want to skip you. I don't want to put you out of order if there's a specific order. You could talk about the square whenever.
Oh, not.
I'm just curious. Okay.
Not at all. The square I can go back and find relatively quickly.
Okay.
Relatively quickly. It's Jupiter square your ascendant, which it's one of the ones that I honestly I didn't add it there at it in the report at all. But if you're asking about it, then we'll see.
Is that a bad place to have a Jupiter square ascendant? I hope not.
And I'll read it directly from the site because it's one that's not. And for the record, I use Cafe Astrology a lot.
Okay.
That's one of my faster tools. I've got 6 books over there, but didn't really have time to
Go
bust out all
through.
the books
Yeah,
for
of
this.
course, of course.
Um, this is saying she appears to have a very honorable and generous attitude towards others, and others assume that she has their best interests at heart because others see her as tolerant, understanding, and wise. They may also turn to her for advice, may go to excess when eating. That's all it says.
That is true.
So I think
true. Wow. So a square is a bad thing, and so my bad thing is that I overeat. Why is this thing this so accurately funny? Oh my god, this is amazing. Oh my god, this is so true. Okay, you're so funny. Okay, that was great.
They cut that first one really weird. I think one of the pitfalls to watch out for is that unless you're just really into doing it, is to watch out for people that only come to you for advice but aren't there for you whenever, they're worse than a fair weather friend because they're only coming to you whenever they have an issue.
Oh, okay.
So
That's good to know.
I think that's something that it's trying to warn against. Otherwise, I don't understand what their interpretation is there, which is one of the reasons I didn't add it in there.
Interesting. Okay, I'll keep that in the back of my mind because it's interesting. I do have people who like in my life who do only do that, but I've just known them for so long that I just sort of I'm like whatever. I've known you forever. So that I think that's honestly great advice for everyone, but that's something definitely to keep in the back of my head a little bit. That's great. Okay. Is that part of the conjunction?
No, that was part of the square.
Okay, that was part of the square. Okay.
The next part of the conjunction with your sun would be Venus.
So we got Mercury and Venus.
Venus is another one of the social planets. It typically governs what you're attracted to, but more importantly, what you attract.
Okay.
It also suggests personal popularity is likely very important, as is having a larger circle of friends. We'll use acquaintances here because friends is a subjective term to some people,
right.
But a large circle of acquaintances.
Okay.
And in times of stress, one of the best things for you is probably just to have your ego stroked a little bit.
It depends. I mean, like, well, I mean, when you say stress, because I have anxiety disorder. So do you mean like I'm trying to use tips to relate to my husband. Are you saying that I should do this to myself, or I should have my husband say nice things to me?
Oh, husband's going to be a great source.
Okay.
But in a lot of cases, some of the best ego boosting things, especially for a Leo, is when it comes from people outside your normal circle. Oh. So when you're having a bad day, but your community's there to throw all kinds of sunshine on you.
Oh, that's so that's so true. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm gonna cry. That's so true. Whenever I say like I'm having a really bad day or I'm anxious, I almost never cancel my stream other than if I have like a migraine, because I know that my community will make me feel so much better and we'll have fun and we'll laugh and we'll play games and we'll be silly. And I always say that. Like this stream is just like the best place to be when I'm like not in the best mindset, because we always just have the best time. And that's really true. That's really true. And honestly, it's even true because like sometimes when me and my husband are having issues, I'll just be like, oh, you know what? We're going to put a pin in this. I'm going to go stream and we'll figure this out the next day. And 99 times it takes me out of that bad place to the point where like when I go back to talk to my husband, or if I'm having a family issue, like I'm in a clear mindset now and I can like not approach it from such a whatever place I'm in. So that was very true.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's exactly where I was going with it.
Yes, this is very true.
The good of this particular alignment, You're very friendly, very diplomatic, tolerant, and accepting. The challenges of this could be, it said laziness, but I don't like using just the word laziness on its own, so I modified it a little bit.
Okay.
You may just need a little extra spark to get started. And not like caffeine, but like somebody.
Ms. Rickman.
There we go.
I mean, literally, this is so spot on. Mr. Rickman put ellipses in the chat. He literally is probably the person who's like, we had a meeting today, and then I told him, like, I promise I'm going to take care of these 3 things. Like, I promise. And he's like, I'm going to message you them anyways, and then let me know when you've done all of them. Okay. It's so true. It's so true. He's definitely the little spark up my butt for sure. For sure. At least when it comes to streaming and stuff like that, for sure.
The other challenges here are possibly being nice at the cost of being honest, and vanity.
But that just is like a Leo thing too.
Yes.
Yeah. And what do you mean by the cost of being honest? Like being nice at the cost of being honest? Like I have to hold my tongue because I want to be nice? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's saying that there's a possibility of you being too nice when it's saying that you may be sugarcoating things with people who don't deserve sugarcoating, if that makes any sense.
I just think that you watch all my streams and wrote down all these things. So this is so are you trying to call me a pathological people pleaser? Because I certainly don't call myself that every single day of my life since I was born. Not even. Sounds a little people pleaser. No, Andy, couldn't be me. Could not be me. that is, being too nice without setting boundaries, me? What? Never. That is extremely accurate, Godless Fox. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. The struggle is real on that one, for sure.
That one's just sometimes all it takes, and this is where part of the fun of astrology comes in. Sometimes all it takes is doing something out of character once. Like if you have to force yourself to not necessarily be mean, I don't want to tell you to go out and just be an asshole. But if you feel like you're being too nice, and you shouldn't be, sometimes all it takes is that one time of giving someone the business or reading the riot act, and
more throw punches for Nair. Okay. No, sorry, that was a joke. No, honestly, this is what, and it's so funny you're saying this, because this is what my mom says to me all the time. She's like, it gets easier standing up for yourself if you just start doing it. And I'm like, yep. But I can't, because what if I upset them? And she's like, that doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. They are hurting you. You need to stand up for yourself. I'm like, I can't. So this is extremely spot on for me. And I actually am working on it. I really am. I feel like I've made progress, but it is because of the way I was brought up. I was brought up to be a absolute people pleaser to the max. Like, always like, go make your dad feel better. Go make your sister feel better. Go make your mom feel better. Like, it was always just like, we used to call it, oh, Haley's dancing again. She's dancing, like, not physically, but like emotionally dancing for everyone until everyone felt better. And I just felt like drained, essentially. And that was how I grew up. And I tell my mom, like, I love her to death. I will die for my mother. She's my best friend. But I tell her all the time, I'm like, you're mad at me for being a people pleaser, but this is what you need. Like, I have no other way. I don't know. And I am working on it. And I told everyone by 30, which I'll be 30 in like 20 days, I am going to stop giving as many Fs. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But that was very accurate and very true, for sure. For sure. Godless is telling all of our life stories right now, collectively. We have a lot of people pleasers in here, a lot. So you are hitting the nail on the head for many of us, for sure.
That's good. That's what this is for. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Another part of this, the sun being conjunct with Venus, and this is going a little bit out on a limb. Okay. it's how
I'm like, every time you take a pause, I like clench. I'm so nervous. I'm like, oh God.
This isn't a bad thing, but like,
Okay.
Because we've already talked about Leo having that sort of charisma. Scorpio adds to that. Scorpios also have almost like a very physical presence. And this is the Sun conjunct Venus kind of adds to that. And how I'm going to ask a weird question just for clarification.
Okay.
How did you and your husband meet?
We met 14 years ago on Facebook. on a Facebook page. I was 16. That was called I Love Hot Skater Boys. So that is how we met. So I don't, also going back into the vanity thing, the first thing I wrote is, oh my God, he's so hot. And he commented, no, you're so hot. And that was the first 2 sentences we ever spoke to each other. So, yeah.
See, and that doesn't really confirm anything. Where I was going with it was...
I thought that was going to be like this, like, exploded moment.
No.
Okay.
But it's still it's important. But where I was going with it was Sun conjunct Venus. Generally, you wouldn't be the one doing the chasing. That would ring true with a male as well.
Oh, God.
It would be more of, I have this charisma. I can kind of draw whoever I want in. But it doesn't seem like that was how it went down.
It wasn't the case for him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I don't know. I was like a teenager, so I've been with him ever since, so I have no idea about the physical charisma. Anytime I go into a place, I'm just like, leave me alone. But yeah, I mean, honestly, in our relationship, though, I would definitely say I'm more of the pursuer and he's always more of like the laid back one. So I don't know. I mean, like, I don't, not in every way, but in most ways, because I don't know what other signs he is, but he's an Aquarius as his sun. I don't know what his rising and his moon is. I could tell you I don't know if you can figure it out quickly, but like,
I can tell you exactly as an Aquarius myself.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And having my first relationship was a Leo.
Okay.
My first real relationship.
Yeah.
And I can tell you he does. Oh man, I don't know how to put it in the words.
Dude, just lay it on me. I'm so nervous. What? He what?
Aquarians have I want to say this is for all of us. We all have this and it's not charisma. I'm not going to call it charisma. I'm not going to call it a vibe.
Okay.
But we have this thing about us to where our significant other does indeed want they are generally the pursuer. It doesn't matter what sex it is.
Oh yeah.
Just because we have this sensitive little ego and we kind of sit above everybody, and as long as it's not bruised, then we're sort of, this bright shining kind of person.
Yeah.
And
are Leos and Aquarii, how did you say that? Aquarians? Are
Aquarius.
They okay together? Like, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know some groups are really, like, some pairings are really bad. So I never knew.
For general purposes, yes. Leo and Aquarius are polar opposites, and those are always, that's good for, it sounds bad, but that's that's good for relationships. Is that
where the saying comes from? Like, opposites attract?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I know the look of anticipation, because every time Godless Fox pauses, I'm like, he's gonna say something that's gonna break my heart. Okay, so because and Aid, as you guys all see, Aid and I are absolutely unequivocally polar opposites in every single capacity ever. So That makes
That's
sense.
good though. Like
Okay.
Aquarians and Leos are different in the ways that it matters, and both sides are able to adapt
It needs
where
to
they
have.
need to.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, definitely. Okay.
But as far as like actual natal charts, I generally don't do compatibility because
Yeah.
that's a layer of complexity that I am not great with. So you have to
Right.
if you think this is kind of complex
It
with
is
the
very.
squares and conjunctions and
Yes.
everything, we'll multiply that not just by 2 but by 3 because you're having to do 2 charts, but you're doing relationships of the planets for each side.
Oh my God, I can't
So
even. This is so complex now, and I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. Oh my God. Okay.
But we can still push on. With more
Yeah.
about Venus.
Yes.
Venus is in your ninth house. And the ninth house is general. I didn't even go over this with your sun sign. I'm so sorry.
No,
Um,
I have no idea what you're saying. So like,
the
you're
ninth
right on.
house governs the area of your life about um, learning and philosophies and morals.
Okay.
Um,
How many houses are there?
there are 12.
Okay.
There's 12 signs and 12 houses.
Does everyone have 12 houses? Like, do you always have 12 houses?
Oh yeah, every chart will
Okay.
have 12 houses. Even an empty house has a little bit of meaning because
Oh.
not all of the houses are going to be full.
Are all my houses full or any of them
I
empty?
No, most of yours are in 2 houses.
Out of
Is
all of them?
Yeah, your sun isn't even like your sun's very um has a lot of conjunctions, but your moon sign in another part of your chart has a bunch of conjunctions. That's where most of your planets are in house 9 and in house 2.
House 9 and 2? Ow!
Yep.
I was so close. I was born in 91. If I was born in 92, that would be like a funny thing, right? No? I don't know. I'm trying to make correlations that don't even exist. I'm just trying to figure out what this is. Okay, so we're in the ninth house. Okay,
Yes.
which is for knowledge and morality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm like filing. You don't understand. This is all getting filed away right now.
With Venus in Leo in your ninth house, you likely need consistent, not to be confused with constant, but consistent attention whenever it comes to a relationship, not from outside, but a relationship. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
The next part's I'm not real familiar with the community, so you guys, I apologize if this makes anybody uncomfortable, but I'm going to read it as I typed it up. Good sex, whatever that may entail for you, is just as important as romantic feelings, and you are not likely to be happy and last very long in a relationship without both of these things.
Uh-huh. Yes. That's true. I didn't know what you meant for a second when you went, I don't know who's in the AO. I didn't know what you meant. So I was like, is this about the stream? And then you could talk about sex. It's fine. Like,
Okay.
It's an 18 plus. Don't worry. Also, yeah, can we ask you a question? What happens if the house is empty? Like, you said it still has meaning, but like, since I only have stuff in 2 houses, like, does the fact that a rest are vacant, like, have any meaning?
I can give you a couple of yours that were empty. For example, let's use house 6.
Okay.
House 6 is weird. I don't know why I picked that one off the top of my head, but I'm going to go.
Okay.
The area of learning by material transaction. That's how important material things are to you, pretty much. It's empty, but it's occupied by the constellation of Taurus, but there's no planets there. This generally means that you're completely as far as cafe astrology is concerned, it's not something that I learned about in the course because we generally don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. But it would suggest that you're completely trusted at work. She knows how to keep a secret and can be of irreproachable honesty. Weak point. Well, the weak points don't matter. I don't include
If it's not substantial, right?
Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting. And that's true, too. Very true. Okay, so back to the ninth house. I'm sorry, I'm taking you all over the houses, man.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
We're all learning. We're all so fascinated.
See, I'm good with what I've already dealt with when it comes to the empty houses, though. That's something that's going to be like the next chapter of learning, which there's a whole probably 2 years worth of courses that I'll need to be an advanced astrologer and actually start coming up with stuff.
Because the empty houses mean they don't have planets, but they have constellations. So you'd have to learn that whole secondary thing about. Okay, got it. That is absurd amount of stuff to learn. Wow, that's amazing. Holy moly. Okay.
But going back to Venus in Leo and in the ninth house. Let's see. When this need is met, there is nothing you won't do for the person who has earned the title of boyfriend or husband, girlfriend, wife, whichever. You have likely had a hard time getting past the honeymoon phase, but not for you because you just talked about meeting. But someone else with a very similar alignment may have a hard time getting past the honeymoon phase of a relationship, which is the huggy, kissy, oh, I love you, I'm going to love you forever phase.
Well, what if even after 14 years you're still like that? What does that mean? Is that a bad thing? No,
that's perfect. That's good for you.
Okay.
That's great for a Leo. Not every relationship is like that. Okay. So it might sound like just an obvious statement, but there are lots of relationships out there who start, hot and heavy, banging on every surface of the house and going out all the time.
When you did that, like your hair flipped. It was so cool. Banging. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
But I'm not even aware of what he's doing right now because I don't have it up. But
I love it. It's awesome.
But there eventually comes a point where it's just you're just there with another person who you both love. You love the other, but you don't. The heat is gone. The flame's still there, but the heat's gone. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So yeah, for those that would say that's just an obvious thing to say, that is, they have. Yeah, it's.
No, I think that's not obvious because the truth is like. I mean, and we're not very PDA people, especially like on stream. We don't do that, but like in reality, I'm still just like I just think the fucking sun shines out of Aiden's butt. Like I think he's just the bee's knees, and so this is very on par. It's very on par. My mom always says like, how can you still just be like all like, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I didn't make me. I don't know. So that makes sense. That sounds very accurate.
Yeah. And it's good that you found someone who can reciprocate that for forever. Because if he's still doing it 14 years later, he's probably not going to stop anytime soon.
I think it comes more naturally to me than it does to him, but yeah, he tolerates it. I'll put it that way. But yeah, that's very, I think that's very accurate.
The next part of that, let's see. With Mercury's help, since it's in the same place, you are able to talk about these things as long as you're completely honest without sugarcoating it too much. Which, I mean, you can. You were just very honest with how things are. Yeah. I'm really glad to hear you guys are still, like, after 14 years and meeting that young.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm still kind of taken back by that. It's freaking awesome.
I know it's very weird, but I don't know. He's the OG poop, man. He's the first person I ever started calling poop. And I don't know. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's not easy though. Holy fuck. Like, it's not easy. Like, no relationship is easy. But nope. Yeah, he's the poop. He's a poop.
Well, on to the next one, where Sun is conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter is generally the planet of luck and expansion.
Okay.
Friendly, generous, non-combative, optimistic, can often find the humor and silver lining in even the worst situations and sometimes the worst of people.
Yes.
Uh,
This is very true. I always seem to, whenever you say all the very nice things, I have trouble like accepting those. But when you say the little piece at the end that's like, Haley, you have boundary issues, I'm like, that is true. Like, I can't appreciate the nice things. I can only collect the like, yes, I need to work on this. This is true. But yes, I do. I see there are many people in my life that I probably should never talk to, but I don't know. It's true.
and that's, I mean, luckily, like, it sounds like you have a healthy idea of just exactly what that means whenever I say you find the silver lining in, even the worst of people.
Yeah.
As long as you know it and you already know it. So I wouldn't even perceive that as a negative.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
You're very self-aware, which is going to help a lot of this stuff. Some people aren't even aware of the fact that, if they didn't know someone was a serial killer, they would still, in fact, be
like
their best friend.
Right? And some people, even when they find out they're a serial killer, are like, oh well.
Oh yeah,
that's not how they treated me. Like, well,
exactly. Sorry, that's what I meant. That's where I was going with it.
Totally get what you mean. Yeah.
Fuck it, he's not killing me. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. I totally
good.
get what you mean. Yeah. Those people. I always think those people are fascinating too, because like how, But yes, that I think that's also the anxiety though. I feel like a lot of people with anxiety disorder I don't know if it's like regulate or are very analytical of themselves. So. I totally agree with
self-awareness is probably the most important thing that someone with anxiety can have.
Yeah.
So you can tell when it's the anxiety and when there's an actual problem.
Yes. I think that was really poignant, Godless Fox. That is extremely extreme, because your anxiety can convince you that things are real when they're not real, and you need to be able to separate what's actually happening from what is happening only in your mind. That's and that the secondary symptoms are because of what your mind's doing. So I think that's very, very accurate. That was poignant. I'm gonna save that little thought in my head for later. I'm gonna think about that later.
Actually, it's one of the other things that we share in our charts is Pluto's position. And I won't go too far into Pluto because it's kind of weird, but where Pluto is in your 12th house would suggest that there is a fear of betrayal is what they call it, but I don't like the use of that word. I'd rather call it the fear of deception.
Okay.
Which, deception is a little bit more on. I feel like it's a little bit more on point because you're constantly worried about not. You just said it. I just can't paraphrase very well, but you just said like you don't know if it's the anxiety or if it's real, but since you've already hit that point, you've already recognized it, so there's no need to really bring that up anymore.
And so my Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Pluto are all in the 9th house.
Oh no, that was the Pluto was just using an example. Your Pluto's in the 12th house.
Oh, okay. So there are Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in the 9th house.
There is, yes, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter. Could have sworn there was another one. I may have been wrong.
The rest are hiding in the house 12.
Well, your midheaven is also in the 10th house as well.
Wait, my what?
Your midheaven, which is, to be honest, I can't even tell you physically what the midheaven is. What it is generally in your birth chart, though, is it's generally telling you the direction that you will go with your work. and how you sort of perceive success and, become an adult, I
Yeah.
guess you would call it.
So where's my midheaven?
Um, and if it tells you anything, the midheaven is usually in the 10th house. Yours is in the 9th house, along with all the other stuff about learning about philosophies. And from what I can tell, if you've done 21 episodes now on just talking to people
Yeah.
with these different philosophical views or exchanging ideas with people, you are already before 30, like you pretty much have your life figured out and what you want to do, it sounds like. Or if you haven't got it figured out entirely, you're already on the right track.
That feels good. Okay. That's exciting. Because I just became a full-time streamer this past October, and I always say it was like the best decision I've ever made. And it's nice to know that, like, it seems like that was the right decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much so.
Not yet, Nair. Sorry. I was just answering Nair.
If you hadn't already made the stream full time, that would have been my first suggestion. Like, look,
Really?
everything about this chart is telling you to do this full time, to make it a thing.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay. That's good. Okay, that makes me happy. Because it seems like this is like the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would say so. I'm not a life expert, obviously.
It's your destiny. It's true. Okay. And my midheaven is also in the 9th house. That place is bumping, man. Wow. Okay.
Yes. And it is. It's like I said, I've never seen a conjunction that big. Out of the 100 that I've done before this, that's a huge conjunction. You have 2 of them.
Oh my God, my butthole just clenched. I just got so nervous because we haven't even done the other conjunction yet, right?
No, you still have the moon with several aspects as well.
Okay, before we get into my moon, little house witch, I have a question. So since Pluto is no longer considered a planet, does that affect the astrological readings?
That is a really good question. I'm glad you asked that because it gives me a chance to explain what astrology is, what I believe, and how I believe astrology affects us. Pluto, whether it's a planet or not, is still one of the largest heavenly bodies out there. Much larger than any of some asteroid field or anything like that. It's still freaking huge.
Yeah.
All these different planets. Well, before even that, we're made from everything that these other planets are made of. We have all the same things. We are literally we're walking, talking versions of a planet, but we require a planet to live on.
Right.
Generally, what the idea is, and they're working on in Germany. There's a institute that's trying to prove this, but depending on what planets were where is practically how your brain is forming, especially whenever you get that first spark of life. Whenever you're born, your brain is obviously working before then, but when you're born, it's like your brain's turned on. You're alive, you're here.
Right.
And those different things affect how everything is starting to connect in our brain. I think anyway. I could very well be wrong, but I believe in the experiments that they're doing.
Yeah.
So yes, Pluto, that's the long answer, but yes, Pluto doesn't change whether it's a planet or not. That's
because it's still part of our universe, so it should still be, even if the scientists have taken it out, which I think Pluto is a planet. Leave it alone. Leave Pluto alone. Okay.
Of all the things they could be working with, I think trying to define whether Pluto is a planet or not
is not necessary. Yes.
No.
What's in a name? Exactly. Let's go full Shakespeare. It's so true. Like, I mean, I love how Pluto has like that. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna go on a whole Pluto tangent if you don't stop me, because I think Pluto is so cute, and it has like the heart shape on it, and just like leave Pluto alone, okay? That's actually really, really interesting too. And also because you were saying that even like the cosmos, like you said, the Taurus cosmo in a certain house means something. So it's not just planets that make up your natal chart. It's like where the stars literally are when you were born, to the minute you're born, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, if I would have been born like an hour later, then I would actually, things would have changed enough in that 1 hour that I wouldn't have such a hard time communicating these things. My life very possibly could have been extremely different.
Wow, in an hour difference. Wow, that is like freaking fascinating.
Like, oh yeah.
Holy smokes.
As an actual example, the same day and time that Gandhi was born on his part of the world
Yeah.
is the same day and time that a stripper in Las Vegas was born, and that's all she did with her life. There was the traditional trope of daddy issues, becoming a stripper, all that stuff. It's
Right.
and I use that lightly. I'm not like smashing anyone that has daddy issues, but
right. But they were born at the exact same time.
But they were on different parts of Earth, so the math checked out to where everything was. Her rising sign was different. That shifted the entire zodiac.
It was like the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, and wow, that's.
It is, and as another example, in England, I think it was one of the King Henrys. I couldn't tell you which one it was.
There's like 12. It's fine. Don't worry. One of them.
One of the King Henrys was born on the same day as a peasant from the same province. They both lost, and this is cherry picking evidence. I know if there's anyone out there that's gonna hit me for logical fallacies, I already know it's cherry picking. I got it. But they both lost their fathers to the same illness. They lost another family member around the same time frame, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the information right up in front of me, but I believe they also died within a week of each other of the same illness.
Wow. And they actually had the same birth chart. They would have had the same birth chart, not the opposing birth chart. That is kind of scary. That's crazy. That's amazing.
It's really weird to think about. I know there's going to be contradicting evidence, so it's not something that I'm claiming to be 100% true.
No, of course.
But there are enough things out there to make you like, what?
Yeah. And it's not, sometimes when you have enough of them, it stops being a coincidence and starts being like, is this a pattern that's established that we can just like what you're doing for me? Like you're digging into this pattern that my birth set, and now we're finding out stuff and I want to get a book about this. It's so fascinating. And we still have my 12th house, right? It was the 12th house, right?
Well, that's where Pluto was, but we haven't even gotten into the moon.
Okay, tell me about the moon. That was all my Leo stuff, right?
Yes, that was everything that was in Leo in the 9th house.
Okay, Leo, nice house. Okay, gotcha.
Now the moon and a couple of other planets are in your 2nd house, which, let me get a more accurate description of the 2nd house. I want to say it's financial security.
Oh, please say it is.
Material security and values. It rules money and personal finances, sense of self-worth, and basic values.
Okay.
With that, let me pull this back up. Generally, what this is suggesting is that you're generally a more frugal person than not.
Yes.
From the outside looking in, you can be seemingly inconsistent, however, and you're likely to be prone to retail therapy.
Yes. 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 But not with big things. Like, I love thrifting. I love antiquing. I love like digging for things. But if I'm having a really hard time, I will literally get up, get dressed, and hit every thrift shop, every antique shop that I can, because it just makes me feel like a little bit better. I'm careful. That's the frugalness. I'm careful about not spending too much. But like, I feel better if I find something special and I get to take it home and like give it a home. I don't know. I know that's ridiculous, but
No. I'm so glad you brought that up, because the next section, your moon forms a trine with Mars, which is a good thing. It's a very good thing.
A what? A trian?
Trine. Trine.
Wait, can someone write no, you're good. And if you need water, please. Trine. A trine. Okay, I've never seen that word before. Okay, trine. Okay.
Now, trines generally are very, very, very good. And in this case, I'm so glad that you went into detail on that, because it kind of helps prove some things.
Okay.
I'll just read what I put down word for word. This is very fortunate. Mars is generally the spark of energy, in many cases emotionally and or sexually charged, in a natal chart. In this case, your Mars is carefully seated in Virgo and trined with the moon, which not only tempers Mars' trigger finger for anger and your ascendant Scorpio's occasional need for adult-themed attention, but it keeps you grounded. It also helps ground the aforementioned retail therapy issue. It gives you control of your emotions, maybe even too much at some points. The only potential issue here may be getting upset at yourself if you do feel like you let any of your emotions get the best of you.
Yes. Oh my God. That's so true. Wow. I'm like nodding like so fanatically, like, yes, that's very true. Yes. And I get really mad at myself if I go too far. Like, if I get too upset or too angry or whatever, I like will distance myself, make myself calm myself down, and then I'll immediately apologize, because I don't like to make other people, feel bad or sad or anything. So that's very true. Very, very true. Yeah.
What I can say as a fellow moon in Capricorn person is sometimes it can be therapeutic to, whenever you finally feel like you're losing control, and not all the time, but sometimes it can be therapeutic if you can find a safe environment and just let it and ride it.
Yeah.
And feel it. Because the more you try to wrestle it down, the worse you're going to feel.
So true. And I'll like have like, I have a very long tether of patience. And then at a certain point, I'll feel like that tether's running out, and then I just try to pull it back. And then once I'm done, I just like unleash, and I'll have an anxiety attack, and I'll like sob. It's all gross and ugly and bubble nose sweat and just everything. But I meant like snot, but not sweat. But you know what I mean. But so I'm that's something that I'm working on, is like either just letting it out, but like not trying to hold it in for so long that when I finally let it out, I can't even control it anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely working on that.
And that's something me, you, and my fiance and my son, all of us share that Capricorn moon.
Wow.
So it's very, especially as an Aquarius, I'm sure he would probably more than understand when it comes to those times. It's I don't know if you do this, but it might be worth, if you're super pissed off, just give him the disclaimer to begin with. Like, over the next 10 minutes,
I'm gonna just
shit's gonna be said that I may not be able to take back.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I think he's definitely, and he is, again, like, so different. Like, we always say, Aiden's always at a 5 emotionally. He's never super sad, super happy. He's just like a stable, steady current of like a nice, calm lake at a 5. I live at like an 8 or a 9. I'm like very naturally happy, and it actually takes an enormous amount of effort for me to be sad. I hate it. It's not like, and that's why I try when I am sad to do everything I can to make myself feel better. I will go to Barnes & Nobles. I will go thrifting. I will get coffee. I will go for a hike. I will do anything to make myself feel better because I don't live down there. So when we do get into arguments or anything, it's sort of like he just stays at a 5 and will sometimes pivot to like a 7, but I go way down. Like I swing down and then it's hard, and then I do everything I can to get us back, so yeah. That I do. I've been telling him, like, I'm just going to get it out, because if I don't get it out, then it will just persist for hours and hours and days. So like, let me just get it out. And it does seem to help.
Now, out of curiosity, this is a shot in the dark. This may be a personal quirk of mine, but out of curiosity, do you clean whenever you're trying to keep things together?
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's so weird. Yes, but it's not cleaning, like it's like straightening up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not like hands and knees like scrubbing. Sometimes if it's bad enough, but most of the time it's like I just need to straighten up this room. This whole room is messed up. I just have to straighten it up. Oh my God, that's so funny. Yes.
What you just helped confirm for me is that is Capricorn's way of maintaining control. If they can't control their inside environment, they feel like they're starting to lose it.
Yes.
Then they will control the outside environment. Even if everything's already straightened up, like, I hate the arrangement of this. I'm going to rearrange it.
Yes. Completely. Yes. Absolutely. For sure.
I appreciate that confirmation. Oh my gosh.
Hard confirmation there. Yes. And yeah, it's not like a clean freak. Like, I don't want to scrub the toilet. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to like if all the throw pillows are on the ground and like there's like stuff like boxes that haven't been opened, like I'll break down the boxes. Like, it's like a straightening up, but not like a deep clean, if that makes any sense. So yes, 100%.
Things that are noticeable, pretty much.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
So we're going to move on, thankfully. And this is where I put a lot of emphasis on the moon. And so did the Mayans. The Mayans actually revered the moon as the more important of the big three rather than the sun. And they were one of the ones that actually sharpened astrology into what we know, sharpened Western astrology into what we know it now. Okay. Mayans were good for all sorts of stuff like that, but astrology was one of them. All right. So we got past Moon trine Mars. It is also conjunct with Uranus.
Sorry. I was waiting for that one. I always say I love you to Uranus and back instead of the moon and back. First of all, Uranus is farther and bigger, and it's Uranus. Obviously, I'm going to make a joke about it. Okay.
Well, Uranus is the planet of change, usually quick change. It's what that's the planet that most Aquarians especially need to be watching if they're looking at astrology in everyday life. Because there are times where it can it can feel like it's turning your life upside down.
Uranus?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Uranus got control over Aquarius. I'll keep that in mind.
I don't know if anybody is familiar with tarot, but it's sort of like the death card in tarot. People look at the death card in tarot as a bad thing, but it's usually a sign of big change or rebirth. Something. Or rebirth, yes. But let's see. About to talk about Uranus, and I led with but. This aspect furthers your appreciation of original people and artists of all kinds, and lets you learn from your worldly experiences in the best of ways. Yeah. I have no worldly experiences. Take that as you will. I don't really have a definition. That's so subjective.
Yeah.
I don't even know what made me write that. A lot of times I'm just doing stream of consciousness. I'll see an alignment and just start typing.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Um, um, but where it's at is in Capricorn in the second house. This is usually a challenging alignment. For many, this suggests they will change jobs frequently because they find routines comfortable for a time from the Capricorn influence, but Uranus convinces them that they need a change, that the routine is boring them to death. For you, however, since you have an established stream and community, you can implement change where you see fit. You have the power to set your own routines and go with the flow. This likely appeases the needs of steady Capricorn and quirky Uranus.
Yes. And that is actually, so I have had, before I became a full-time streamer, like 100 different jobs. Like, from when I was old enough to go into the workforce until this past October. Literally, before October, I was a streamer and I had 3 side jobs. Like, always had other jobs. Not necessarily because I lost interest, but because they like tortured me. And I would be like, I'd have to leave and find something else. And like, I'd have to leave and find something else. But that is true. And that's why streaming is so, because I can change my schedule also if I need to. And I can make my streams as long or short as I want. And I can do whatever content I want. So I can be creative, or I could be silly, or I could be serious. And that's why I always say, like, this is my dream job in every capacity. So that is very true. I've had like 100 jobs easily.
Literally, that's just one example of another example of why I would have told you, like, this is what you should be doing. If you want to be happy, this is what you should be doing. Because you're satisfying. That's with the moon conjunction. Those are so important.
Yeah.
And with you being able to satisfy the needs of both of these major influences.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm excited. That makes me happy.
Uranus also forms a trine with midheaven.
Okay.
Which again, that's almost always good.
Okay.
She must, a direct quote from Cafe Astrology first, and then I added a little bit more.
Okay.
She must have a job that allows her many freedoms, something non-routine. She likes change, possesses a lot of energy, and knows how to influence others in spite of her originality. And then my part, considering the aforementioned aspect, I will double down on this. You would be terribly unhappy with the normal hourly work of the working class.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very. I feel like my whole entire astrological sign is like, be a streamer. Just do it. Like, the whole thing is like lined up perfectly for that. That is so funny. Wow. So wait, it was midheaven, Uranus, trine in my second house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Telling you, I'm filing it away.
As another marker for that, because you hit something right on the head. A lot of times I'm doing this for people that are already, that are already 30 plus, they're already established.
Yeah.
And it's either a really good confirmation or it's not necessarily discovery, but this eye-opening, like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, I've been unhappy this whole time, but you're telling me I don't have to be unhappy.
Right.
Which is another reason to do this. One of my friends has her own, very similar to you. She works from home, and she takes care of family a lot, but they're also getting ready to take part in a traveling Ren Fair.
Oh, fun.
Or Renaissance Festival. And literally everything about her chart was doing the very same thing. It was just saying, like, you're not just one of the masses. It's time for you need to be doing your own thing if you're going to actually be happy and not just survive.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And she just started doing that within the past couple of years.
Is she happy?
Oh, yeah, much more so than she was.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's really reaffirming. That's really nice.
Yeah. What I miss here? Okay, I didn't miss anything. All right, so you're moving on to the moon conjunct Neptune.
Okay.
Typically means that you're loyal, can even be loyal to a fault. Emotionally perceptive, loves the arts, usually music, but this is pretty open. So you love it so much that it can become therapeutic, uplifting, and even healing when the need arises.
Yep. Yep. Check.
So
Yep.
with you, is it like that with music? I already know you
Yes.
you do some crafts.
Yes, I have. Music will literally change my mood. Like if I could be in a great mood and play a sad song and I'll start crying. Like music, but also I do a lot of crafts. I love I teach myself a lot of crafts. So I taught myself knitting and embroidery and in calligraphy, and I do always like having like a witchy. I fill out this grimoire. I love reading. I'm a green witch, so I have a garden and I cultivate my own plants and herbs and food to grow, and all that stuff makes me feel really good. Like really, I love that. Yeah. Other than streaming, all the little hobbies bring me a lot of joy for sure.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. And this is another one of those cases where I do feel like I need to disclaim.
Okay.
It's people would look at that as an obvious people that can use music like this, but right. As an example, I am very different. Whenever it comes to music, I love music. I was actually a singer for a cover band for a while. Oh, wow. But for me, I can't be mad and listen to a happy song and be happy, and vice versa. I can't be.
It doesn't influence your mood.
Exactly. If I'm irritated or angry and I feel like turning to music, I am the emo teenager that's going to find something that matches my mood. And
right.
For some reason, it works. It makes it better. And like, someone else is suffering just as much as I am. Awesome.
Right. Interesting. So yours is like the inverse. So if you're listening to something sad when you're sad, it makes you feel like you're not alone. And when I'm listening to something when I'm sad and then I'm listening to something sad, I get way too sad. And then I'm like, whoa. So I'll put on like something that makes me feel happy and it will change my mood, which is music. I mean, I think music is sort of synonymous with everyone has some kind of connection with music. But yeah, it's interesting how the tools differentiate for the person.
Yep. And that's, and I know I disclaim a lot on here. It's just, I'm so used to, let's call it negative feedback. There we go. I'm so used to negative feedback. Who's giving you
negative feedback? I will throat pone them. I'll punch them in the throat. No, you are so spot on. How can anyone give you negative feedback? This is like, you're reading my life right now, like to a T.
Until we've had one done, it can reasonably be argued as the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I'm doing natal charts, it's all a natal chart is doing is describing who, for lack of better way to put this, it's describing what the universe has created with you, how quote unquote God made you to be, or whatever entity,
whoever you want, whatever you want to believe.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's why I added the God. Please don't hate me for that.
No, not at all. You can pop whatever word in that spot that you guys want. But yeah, that's the universe wants you to be. Okay. This is it's giving me chills. Okay. Do I have other stuff in my second house?
Oh yeah, there's more to this moon conjunct Neptune. I just wanted to just disclaim the first part.
Got you. Oh, okay. More in Neptune. Okay.
A lot of times when it comes to this music thing, this is needed most when your empathy turns against you and you need time to recenter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And emotionally perceptive was me kind of tossing some word salad because I don't generally like to use empathy, but in your case, I'm going to go ahead and say, and you're a very empathetic person, I imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and that can get turned against you if you're taking in too much from all of your outside stimuli.
Godless Fox this is a therapy session where Godless Fox is saying, Haley, you need to set boundaries, boundaries. And I'm like, I'm trying. Oh yes, but you're so spot on. Yes, it can be. Empathy is a beautiful thing, but it can be not. For yourself, for not for others. It usually is always beautiful for others, but for yourself, it can be very hard and draining, and people can manipulate you, use you. Yeah.
If it's not managed, then yes, very much so. There is a possible challenge with this alignment. It's possible to think that there is a passiveness when reaching for your goals. There are many aspects that suggest the opposite, so you may have someone in your life that pushes you to get there, or maybe you learned how to get past it. This may just temper the go-getter aspects mentioned before.
Wait, can you repeat? Just say that one more time. Sorry, I just want to
okay.
I want to absorb it, and I feel like I need to hear it again.
I'll leave out the last sentence because I don't even remember what I was referencing. But okay. It's possible that there is a passiveness when reaching for goals. There are many aspects that suggest the opposite of that. So you may have someone in your life that pushes you to get there. That spark plug you've already mentioned, Mr. Rickman.
Yes.
Or maybe you learned how to get past it.
Okay. So when you say passiveness to get goals, does that mean applying for partner once and not reapplying for like a year? Because that's not me either. This is not me at all. I don't do that.
That's a really good example.
Okay, yeah. There's but it's funny though, because you're saying that there's a passiveness in attaining the goals, but not in going for the goals, which is true because I hustle and grind and go really hard in some ways, but then at the same time I'm like, it's all right. It will be there whenever whatever happens, it will happen on its own time. So like this is very true. It's true.
You put it a lot more concisely than I did. There's a lot of this that literally like you have the wheels to get there. You just don't trust the car to get you all the way there. Is what it sounds like.
Exactly. Yes. I'm like, well, or it's more like I trust the car so much that I know it will get me there eventually, but I'm not even gonna take the wheel.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even looking at the wheel. I'm like, someone else will get the wheel, and I'm just gonna like tell them and just like just distract them and get everyone lost. No, I don't know. But yes, that is very, very true for sure. There's a passive. I have a passivity. Is that the word? Passivity? About and I think it's more like, do I deserve the goals? But that's a whole other, bag of fruit.
And that's and that may be what that challenge is trying to highlight.
Yeah.
That's one of the hard parts of doing this is a lot of information, a lot of the interpretations, not information, but interpretations are very subjective.
Yeah.
It's my biggest criticism from almost any astrology writer, online articles, stuff like that is it's so incredibly suggestive that everything gets lost in translation.
That makes sense.
It's very likely I'm actually gonna make a small note of that for myself to improve further interpretations.
And I think that also like when you give people like what your knowledge is, they're gonna then take it and blanket it for something that pertains to them. Like they're gonna take what the research you've done and like say, oh, well, this applies to this part of my life. So it is very subjective, but at the same time, like everything you're saying is resoundingly accurate or true. So I feel like I think no one should criticize you ever.
Oh, it's happened. I'm sure it'll continue to happen, but stuff like this really helps.
No,
the old confidence.
Yeah, no, I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed.
You also have. Wait a minute. Let me see. Okay, so to extend your already big time conjunction with the moon, the Uranus and Neptune are conjunct there as well.
With each other.
Yeah, because they're all there. Moon, Uranus, Neptune, they're all there, conjunct with each other. I took a blurb straight from Cafe Astrology again.
Okay.
And for the record, you'll be able to see it, but for those that don't actually get a chance to read this, like I do quote sources if I pull directly from a source. It's not just I'm not like plagiarizing. But she can be wildly creative with an odd but happy sense of humor and perspective. She's an idealist, easily disappointed by those using power plays to advance.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So
yes, for sure. Like
using power plays to advance. So how do you feel about hot tub streamers?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna. You know, it's funny. It's not so much like I always say, you know, people can hustle however they want. It's not something I'm going to partake in, but it's their body, it's their choice, and however they want to carve their corner is fine. What I was more thinking is like people who like one of the biggest things I like loathed when I was acting was nepotism. Like when directors and casting directors would already cast people that were like their mother was famous, their father was famous, and there's so much nepotism in Hollywood, and like people like like all the Hadids, their mom, they became super models, but yes, they're beautiful and stuff, but because their mom already had influence, and those sort of things always set me off, because like people like Emma Roberts is Julia Roberts' niece, and I watched this interview of Emma Roberts, and she's like, I earned all this, and I was like, girl, your aunt is Julia Roberts, and your dad is also he was in Dark Knight, so I don't like that. I think that applies more for when I was streaming, because I saw it so pronounced, and it was, and streaming, and more for acting, I mean, because in the acting, it was so brutal and gut-wrenching and difficult that like every one step forward was like 2 steps back at every turn. It was so difficult and challenging. With streaming, I kind of feel like it's your little corner and you have complete control and you can dictate that corner. So I don't get as mad about how people want to run their streams. But like, yeah, in acting, that was my biggest complaint. Like for sure, without a doubt. Yes, that's very accurate. But not so much for streaming.
That's a much better example, actually. So
and it was all the time, man. It was like, I can't even, it pissed me off all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's something I still talk to one of my friends from high school who now directs B movies.
Oh, nice.
He actually wrote a movie. I couldn't tell you what it was about because I didn't get a copy of it. And he didn't make physical copies, and I've been trying to get him
to give you one.
Yeah. But it was in a couple of independent film festivals and stuff. But the few times that I have talked to him, that was one of his complaints, because his ideas are crazy, and he is an activist. He is big, bright, gay man.
Love that.
And he is an activist. He's gotten to hang out with Ian McKellen and all kinds of people, and he's still
it's rampant. Yes,
because he doesn't have
the connection,
that actual connection.
Absolutely. And when you and then it's like so normalized in that field to just basically hand these incredible, and it's not just people who are like actors. It's really like there are so few actresses, actors, singers who really like, even people who you're like, where'd they come from? Billie Eilish's parents are like very wealthy, and I'm pretty sure they owned like a record company. I know Taylor Swift's dad owned like one of the biggest record companies in Nashville. And listen, use what connections you have. I'm not shading that, but like they make so little room for newcomers. There's just, it's like so like a sliver of room. So that's where I used to get very passionate about it, because it's just so gatekeeped. It really is. But yeah, so completely understand that for sure, but not so much for streaming. No. Right
on.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna move forward to your next aspect, which is new Neptune sextile Pluto. Sextile is similar to a trine.
Sounds raunchy.
But the difference between a trine and a sextile is really it's mild, but like a trine is something that's ingrained into your personality.
Okay.
A sextile is something that that generally you can tap into. It's just not something that's natural. It's an ability that you can acquire, but not a skill that you have.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you spell it?
Sextile.
Oh, it really is like sex. Okay, guys, it's really sextile. Okay, got it. Okay. We're all like double checking. Okay. Okay.
Likes to learn about herself and others, and what makes them tick. God damn, I can't even read.
I totally know what you're saying.
What makes them tick?
Yes.
It goes deeper than just getting to know someone. It's actually learning about them.
Yeah. Yes, very true. I would rather be like one-on-one and like have like when I'm getting to know somebody for real and have like I'd rather have like a deep, meaningful conversation than have 40 like, oh yeah, the weather. Yay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
Exactly. It's a sexy tile. Yes. And that's very true. Yes.
You do have an alignment in Aquarius, in your third house, and it's Saturn. It's the last of the.
So Saturn's the only planet in a different house?
Saturn and Pluto. Saturn,
Okay.
Pluto, and Mars are in different houses, but they're all positively aspected with your other ones, which is.
Oh, okay. Is that good?
Yeah, it's just.
Okay.
It's very fortunate. With yours, out of all the ones that I've done, you have had the least negative aspects.
What?
You only have two. One of them is.
That's awesome.
Like I said, one of them's not even worth mentioning because it's blanketed by it's counterbalanced by so many of the conjunctions. It's crazy. I've never seen it.
I'm gonna pee. Okay, so Saturn's in which house?
Saturn is in Aquarius in your third house.
Third. Okay, Saturn, Aquarius, third house. Okay.
It's fairly short interpretation. This would suggest long-term. Me and my fiance call them learning kicks.
Okay.
Which is just you pick something, you found something that you really like, and you kind of sink your teeth into it, and it's often self-taught.
Yes.
With it being in the third house, it's very likely to be discreet. It might be something that you don't share with everyone. And this placement also suggests limited travel.
Oh, damn.
But
yeah.
I missed one of your things from earlier, but this is where some of the interpretations kind of need to be updated, because when it comes to what would be interpreted as travel or meeting people abroad, that used to have a very different meaning.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, literally, you can meet anybody from around the world and
never leave your house.
Yeah, technically, you can still travel. If you have VR, I promise you can. There are a lot of things you can load up that you just kind of feel like you're there. You can still take in some of the majestic sights. You can still experience it. So that's one of the things that I'm personally working on, is updating some of these interpretations to include what the internet would mean.
Provide, yeah.
So limited travel that's part of the actual interpretation, but that's another one of them that's just sort of, it's there, so I put it in there. But Pluto in your 12th house, that's what I was talking about before. May have a constant nagging fear of betrayal. Very small, but very real. Sometimes this evolves into sort of an understanding that a betrayal will happen eventually, so there is no reason to be afraid of it.
Okay. That sounds right too. Yeah. With one person specific in my life, yeah, for sure.
And that's those are the biggest parts. The next parts, which didn't really prepare for are there is the shadow of the moon, which is called Lilith.
Oh yeah, I know that. I actually know that. Okay.
Lilith is about your more primal instincts, for lack of better words, your darker side, the darker parts of your personality.
The throat punches.
That's something that's I
Nair
haven't really
perked up.
gotten into.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
there's also, and this is something I can put down for future use, but it'll take some research. There's north and south nodes of the moon, which is where the moon would be at its northernmost point and its southernmost point. And the northern one's supposed to be aspects that you can work on to make you more successful. The southern one is lessons that you're likely to learn throughout your life and that you were kind of supposed to be here to learn. Mm-hmm. But the problem with doing that interpretation is it extends a little too far into the supernatural for me, so I didn't add that in there.
Okay. Is that is that like the major aspects you'd say, like what you've relayed to us?
Yep, that would be all of the major influences that are usually very obvious.
Okay, so 2 questions.
Okay.
Okay, because also this is the longest podcast so far. Normally I only do an hour, but with you I did an hour and like 40, and I don't even care because this was the most fascinating and coolest thing and very eye-opening for me. So first question would be, what would, like a synopsis of like how from here going forward, is there anything I should work on or do or be privy to that you think from what you're looking at I should be aware of? And second, what would be your go-to book for beginners to learn? Because I know a lot of us are like really fascinated and want to delve deeper into this.
For you, generally, from what I can gather, you are already doing what you were, for lack of better words, designed to do.
Okay.
And it's the main thing is going to be sticking with it.
Okay.
To not let the anxiety get the better of you. Yeah. To continue to pursue it. And you already have a really good tool in your toolbox, which is relying on your community to turn things around when you're already not
doing the best,
having a good day.
Yeah.
That's already important. You're already doing those things. Definitely set boundaries.
Okay. Working on that.
Yeah. And with yours, it's just, it's almost like one of the messages is to make sure you don't always have to be nice to people. Some people need you to give them the filthy truth if there's a filthy truth on the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other than that,
so basically, you know what's amazing about this? You've just honestly reaffirmed everything I already knew I had to go forward, and now I just feel like it really is reaffirming for me that like I need to stop letting people walk all over me. But we actually had 2 very poignant questions from chat that I wanted to ask for them. Okay. So how would someone give off a zodiac vibe? So like if you were meeting someone and with all the knowledge you have, how would that person, you'd be like, oh, that's a Pisces. Oh, that's a Cancer. Like is there certain vibes that certain zodiac signs give off?
That's so incredibly difficult. Because one of the first things that you'll learn is, if you do pick up trying to learn astrology, and to answer the book question, Astrology for Dummies is going to give you all the basic information you need.
You really liked that Astrology for Dummies. You liked that book that much. Wow. Because that was the first book that Godless Fox picked up.
to be able to read your own birth chart and do some very minimal interpretations, that is an excellent starting point.
Wow. Okay. And that's affordable for everybody, which is also really nice. Some books are like $30, so that's great.
Further down the line, I can give more books past that, but I would honestly recommend just starting there. And if you still like it, anybody can hit me up as long as if they're in your Discord, they can add me as a friend. I don't want to advertise my own Discord. That'd be weird. So sweet. But they can add me as a friend and we can go from there, and I can give them any of the resources that they would like.
I would also think that, like, I would love to do another session with you where we just talk about astrology in general and not necessarily my birth chart, because I feel like there's so much we couldn't even delve into because we had this. And I'm really appreciative for the birth chart, but I think we would just love like a lesson. Like all of us would just love a lesson to like learn all of this. It's amazing. It really is. And also another question that I wanted to ask as well, when you said, what do you mean by supernatural, the nodes of the moon? Why would that lead us into more supernatural territory?
Because that starts talking about, and it's not that I don't believe in such things. Mm-hmm. I'm doing my best to keep this grounded on stuff that I can prove. Okay. I got you. The north and south nodes push past that wall a little bit because they start talking about what you were quote unquote meant to do. It does start talking about destiny and past lives.
Got it.
And it's just not, at some point I'll wrap my head around it, but
it's a little bit more abstract.
Yep.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense.
To further answer the other question about how can you tell certain vibes, that is extremely difficult because what you get from somebody at first, for two reasons. This is the first one. What you get from somebody at first may, in most cases, isn't really how they are normally.
Right.
When you first meet somebody, you're getting that rising sign, and that's generally as far as the rising sign's going to go. Once you get to know them more, then
when you say, is it the sun sign or the rising sign you get first?
The rising sign.
Oh.
The sun sign is more personal. It's going to resonate with you, not necessarily with everybody else.
Okay. So do you recommend people learn more about their rising sign? Because I just felt like I was a Leo, and that just was like, I feel like a Leo, but I don't know much about Scorpio or Capricorn. So like, should I learn more about Scorpio? Because you said that's my rising sign, right?
The big three in general are all three good ones to know. That's stuff with strangers, or with people that I have nothing to do with. If they do happen to ask, which I have had a few that I met through my fiance, I can go through the big three with anybody for free. And for the community, I can do basic birth charts sparingly. I don't have a whole lot of time to do them all the time.
But, I think you're going to get inundated with people wanting to do birth charts with you. I really do. Fine. Please message Godless Fox. Godless Fox 374 he's in our Discord, so you guys can tag him in like main chat in the Discord. But you can also do private message with him too. It's the same name as he uses for the stream. So yeah, and like this was so insanely informative, and I just want to, before we wrap, I want to see if I memorize this right. In my 9th house, I have Mercury, Venus, my midheaven in my 9th house. Pluto is in my 12th house. Am I wrong already?
No. Let me pull up.
Okay.
And because there is, if you go to Cafe Astrology,
yeah.
It actually breaks down the information and puts it in like an Excel like format.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
But let me make sure I'm reading it as you go. So
okay.
So I know. Okay, go ahead.
Mercury, Venus, and my midheaven in my 9th house. Pluto is in my 12th house. Mars. Oh no, maybe not Mars. No, Mars, Neptune, Uranus are in my second house with a. Am I wrong with Mars?
Yeah, Mars.
Okay. I had a feeling I was wrong with Mars.
Mars is in your 10th house.
Okay, I had a feeling I was wrong with Mars. But Neptune, Uranus, and a sextile are all, and a midheaven are all in my second house, and Saturn's in my third house.
Your midheaven's in your 9th house.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, I thought there was 2 midheavens. But then Saturn's in my third house.
Let me... This is a lot of back and forth. Yes, you were right about Saturn.
Yay! And Jupiter's also in my second house, right?
Jupiter's in the 9th. Your Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are all in the 9th.
Sun, Mercury,
the moon,
Venus,
Uranus, and Neptune
are in my second.
And Lilith is in your second house.
And I have 2 major conjunctions where like all the shit's happening in just those 2 houses.
Yes.
Party at house 9 and 2. Okay. That makes, okay, I will remember that. Okay, that is honestly, Godless, I am so sorry that it's like, I kept you for like 2 hours, but this was so fascinating. You have a real gift here. And I hope that you don't let anyone who gives you any kind of criticism hold you back from doing this, because I think it's incredibly reaffirming, helpful, gives clarity, and it's really a gift. You have a knack for it. I'm so glad you picked up that book, even if it was with the intention to like scoff at it. You've done something amazing, and you've given me a gift, because I doubt myself all the time. I second guess my choices, and to know that like that literally the planets aligned for me to be a streamer is such a cool feeling. So thank you so much. Guys, if you have more questions for Godless, you can message him privately. You can message him in the Discord. He's an amazing, and he streams. What's your stream schedule, Godless Fox?
It's usually Sunday afternoons around 3.
What time? What time zone?
3 p.m. Central
time, guys, on Sundays.
Wednesday and Friday normally at 9 p.m. Central as well.
Okay. So guys, thank you, Godless. Thank you so much. I think we could have talked for another 2 hours, honestly. This was insanely insightful. Thank you for giving me the gift of clarity and affirmations. And I promise I will work on boundaries. I will continue to stream with my every little bit of my little Capricorn, Leo, Scorpion heart. And thank you so much for joining us, Godless Fox. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we go?
No, I just want to thank you and thank the community for being awesome. And what you have here is something incredibly special. It's actually setting a standard for the community that I want to.
You're gonna make me cry. Don't do that.
It's that I want to cultivate. It's just, it really is good. So I mean.
Thank you so much.
You guys are awesome, and I do appreciate the opportunity very much.
Thank you so much. We will definitely talk about doing a second session, and you could give us like an Astrology for Dummies 101 course, like a crash course. Thank you so much. This was fantastic, Godless. Thank you so much, guys. This was Coven Conversations, episode 20 with Godless_Fox_374. I am Poop Witch X, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.